That concept is perfect for a dark, modern urban horror thriller. Here's your story, The Glutton's Cut, keeping the focus tight on the action, the gruesome theme, and the toxic chemistry between Marcus and Savannah. The Glutton's Cut. Downtown Houston, the abandoned downtown spaghetti warehouse was a monument to Houston's history. Dusty, ornate.
Enter the world of horrors, if you dare.
Supposedly haunted. For Savannah, it was just a job. The private, late-night tasting for the infamous, reclusive chef Armand, a man whose ambition was as legendary as his secrecy. For her ex-lover and co-critic, Marcus, it was another opportunity to prove he still owned her. They were in a shadowy corner of the main dining floor, far from the single, candle-lit table set for the tasting. Marcus had pushed her against the exposed brick wall, their long simmering argument about a scathing review dissolving into an animalistic, furious kiss. "You act like you hate me, but your mouth tells a different story," Marcus growled against her lips, his hands rough in her hair. Savannah didn't pull away to resist. She pushed back, matching his heat and his need for control. She was about to answer with a sharp, cutting remark when the smell hit them. It wasn't the dust of the old building, nor the heavy, comforting scent of oregano you'd expect. It was a sickly, sweet, rendered fat stench that smelled both delicious and utterly wrong, like perfume masking putrefaction. Marcus froze first, pulling back slightly. "What the hell is that?" Savannah was already staring up. She noticed the stains. A dark, thick, oily residue dripping from the ornate metal grate of the long decommissioned elevator shaft. It wasn't machine oil. Thud. A heavy, wet thud from the floor above silenced them. A massive shadow, almost impossibly wide, crossed a window on the mezzanine. The figure was carrying something large over its shoulder, a sack of raw meat that pulsed faintly in the gloom. Savannah pulled completely away, wiping the lipstick smear from her mouth with the back of her hand. Her composure was back, sharper than Marcus's fear. "That's not sauce, Marcus," she stated, her voice a low, cold whisper. "That's a body. We need to leave now." The chef's invitation, Marcus, ever the ambitious one, hesitated. "Wait, Armand is supposed to be a genius. Maybe it's some kind of avant-garde meat art." "It's a murder, Marcus. Don't be an idiot," Savannah snapped, already moving toward the service exit. But the exit was locked. Before they could turn back, a booming, wet voice echoed from the top of the grand staircase. "Ah, our esteemed critics. Forgive the delay. The stock reduction is always the most taxing part of the process." Chef Armand descended the stairs. He was a human ghoul made grotesque by his own appetites. Massive, sweating, his skin stretched taut and shiny with rendered fat. His white apron was a ruin of dark, clotted blood. In his massive, quivering hands, he held a bone-covered cleaver. "You see, food critics," Armand wheezed, pausing at the bottom step, his breathing labored and ragged. "The true flavor of passion is fear, and the only way to capture pure fear is to harvest the freshest ingredients." He gestured to the dining table. The centerpiece was no floral arrangement. It was a human femur, bleached white and carved into an obscene decoration. The chef advanced. The fight was immediate and clumsy. Marcus, blinded by shock and terror, tried to grab a heavy silver platter, but his hand slipped on the smooth surface. "My legacy," Armand bellowed, swinging the massive cleaver. "You two are the last review I need. And you, Savannah, you have a sharp tongue and strong will. Excellent connective tissue, a rare vintage, the ingredient in the escape." Savannah, driven by instinct and a desperate need to survive, shoved Marcus into the chef's path. She saw the betrayal register on Marcus's face before the cleaver struck the table next to his head, shattering the wood. "Self-preservation? Marcus, you taught me that," she yelled. While Armand was momentarily caught in his own swing, Savannah saw the elevator shaft. The iron grate was too high to reach, but the decaying winch mechanism was within reach. "The winch!" she screamed. "The counterweight! Marcus, use your arcana degree for once and find the structural weakness." Marcus, recovering, finally grasped the reality. This wasn't a PR stunt. This was a slaughterhouse. He scrambled toward the massive, greasy winch drum. "The steel is rusted through. If we apply enough pressure, the counterweight will drop." Armand turned, his pig-like eyes fixed on Savannah, the one who had wounded his ego. He lumbered toward her, the cleaver scraping the floor. The most beautiful meat always struggles the hardest. Savannah snatched a heavy, ornate chair and hurled it at the chef's face, buying a precious second. She could hear Marcus grunt, straining against the old machinery. Do you know the things I've seen for this career, Marcus? Savannah cried, not to him, but to the chef, trying to keep the monster's attention. The bodies I buried just to get a seat at a table like this? The chef grinned, revealing teeth that were too large and uneven. I know. Ambition is the best marinade. As the cleaver swung down at her head, Marcus let out a triumphant roar. The winch cable snapped with a deafening crack, and the counterweight, a massive iron box, plunged downward. It struck the top of the chef's head with a sickening, wet splat. Armand's huge body collapsed instantly, the bone-covered cleaver skittering across the floor. Thick, yellow grease and dark blood immediately began to soak into the historic wooden floorboards. Savannah didn't look at the gore. She didn't look at Marcus, who was leaning against the winch, breathing heavily. She simply walked over the body, picked up the key that had fallen from the chef's pocket, and unlocked the service exit. That's not going to make the review, she said, her voice completely flat. Marcus straightened up, his eyes meeting hers. A complicated mix of survival, fear, and rekindled, toxic desire. He knew she would leave him here if he didn't follow. Where are we going? He asked, trying to sound like his old, dominant self. Savannah didn't turn back. To the police. And then, she paused, stepping out into the cool, pre-dawn Houston Street, the aroma of blood and grease finally fading. We get that damn review published. They had survived the butcher, but their relationship, of far more complicated horror, remained to be dealt with.